there is a massive rumor currently going on stating that Russia currently has the Ark of the Covenant, and they were transporting the Ark from Venezuela using this massive vessel, which is being portrayed to the public as if they were transporting oil.
Why would two nuclear superpowers almost go to war over an oil tanker? That's the question nobody in the mainstream media wants to answer.
A tanker on the coast of Venezuela, large tanker, very large.
A few weeks ago, Trump seized a Russian ship traveling from Venezuela. They say it was carrying oil. But if that's true, then explain this to me. Why did Russia send a nuclear submarine to guard it? Why was that submarine hiding in stealth mode for weeks? Why is Putin demanding the ship back like his life depends on it? None of this makes sense, unless that ship was carrying something far more valuable than oil, something ancient, something powerful. Now, before you click away, hear me out, because what I'm about to share with you is one of the most controversial things we've ever talked about. This isn't some random internet rumor. Only this is a story that connects ancient biblical history to modern-day geopolitics. And once you see how all the pieces fit together, you'll never look at this situation the same way again. We're talking about the Ark of the Covenant, the most sacred object in religious history. A golden box that supposedly contains the power of God himself. An artifact that has been lost for thousands of years. And according to a growing number of people, Russia might have just found it. I know that sounds absolutely insane. Trust me, when I first heard about this, I laughed it off. But then I started digging. I started asking questions. I started connecting dots that nobody else seemed to be connecting. And suddenly, this crazy rumor didn't seem so crazy anymore. So sit back. Pay attention, because what you're about to hear might just change everything you thought you knew about what's really happening in the world right now. And by the end of this, you're going to have some serious questions of your own. So here's what the government wants you to believe. The official story is simple. Russia was transporting oil from Venezuela. That's it. Nothing more. The United States stepped in and seized the vessel because of sanctions. End of story. Case closed. Move on with your life. According to mainstream news, this was just a routine enforcement action. Venezuela has been under sanctions for years. Russia has been trying to help them sell their oil on the black market. The United States caught them in the act and took the ship. Simple as that. The vessel was flagged under Russia. It was massive, one of those huge tankers that can carry millions of barrels of crude oil. And according to officials, that's exactly what it was doing. Just moving oil from point A to point B. Nothing to see here, folks. But something about this whole situation just doesn't sit right. Think about it. We're talking about oil. Just oil. Russia has more oil than they know what to do with. They've got pipelines running all across Europe. They've got massive reserves in Siberia. They've got deals with China and India to sell as much oil as they want. So why would they risk an international conflict over one shipment from Venezuela? Venezuela isn't even that important to Russia when it comes to oil. Sure, they're allies. Sure, they do business together. But Russia doesn't need Venezuelan oil. They have plenty of their own. So why would they go through all this trouble? And more importantly, why would they send a nuclear-armed submarine to protect it? See, that's the part of the story that nobody can explain. That's the detail that makes absolutely no sense if we're just talking about oil. Because Russia doesn't protect oil shipments with submarines. They never have. They never will. It's just not worth it. Unless there's something else going on. Unless that ship was carrying something that Russia couldn't afford to lose. Something so valuable that they were willing to risk everything to get it home safely. This wasn't just any submarine. This was a Doomsday submarine. One of the most dangerous weapons Russia has ever built. We're talking about a vessel that carries nuclear missiles capable of wiping entire cities off the map. And it was hiding underneath that oil tanker in complete stealth mode. For weeks, nobody even knew it was there. The submarine was using advanced technology to stay invisible. No radar signatures, no sound emissions, complete silence in the depths of the ocean, following that oil tanker like a shadow, protecting it from anyone who might try to interfere. Now, let me ask you something. When was the last time you heard of any country sending a nuclear submarine to guard an oil shipment? It doesn't happen. Ever. Because it makes no sense. Oil tankers get attacked all the time. Pirates hijack them in the Gulf of Aden. Countries seize them during political disputes. Insurance companies deal with this stuff every single day. It's just part of the shipping business, a cost of doing trade on the open seas. But Russia never sends submarines to protect them. Never. Not once in recorded history. Because oil, as valuable as it is, isn't worth that kind of risk. You don't deploy your most advanced nuclear weapon to guard a commodity you can pump out of the ground any day of the week. So why this time? Why this specific ship? What made this particular vessel so important that Putin himself reportedly ordered the submarine escort? The United States was tracking this vessel for weeks. Their satellites were watching. Their intelligence agencies were monitoring every move, but they kept losing it. The ship kept going off radar, disappearing for hours at a time, almost like someone was helping it hide. And when American forces finally caught up to the tanker, they found the submarine lurking below, waiting, watching, ready to defend that ship at all costs. Think about what that means. Russia was willing to create an international incident. They were willing to put a nuclear submarine in direct confrontation with American forces. They were willing to risk everything. For oil? No. Nobody risks nuclear war over crude oil. There are 1,000 easier ways to move oil around the world. There are 1,000 ways to avoid sanctions. Russia knows this better than anyone. So if it wasn't oil they were protecting, what was it? What could possibly be valuable enough to justify this level of security? What could be so important that Putin would send his most dangerous weapon to make sure it arrived safely? Now, here's where things get really interesting. And I need you to stay with me here because this is where the story takes a turn that most people aren't prepared for. There's a passage in the Bible, 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 24. It talks about King Solomon and all the gold he collected from around the world. Massive amounts of gold from distant lands. Treasures beyond imagination brought to him by ships that sailed to the ends of the earth. One of those places was called Ophir. The Bible mentions it multiple times. A land so rich in gold that Solomon sent entire fleets just to bring it back. And if you look at ancient maps and historical research, many historians believe Ophir was located somewhere near South America. Some say it's exactly where Venezuela is today. Now, think about that for a moment. The Bible talks about a land of gold near South America. Venezuela sits in that exact region, and Venezuela just happens to be at the center of this whole controversy. But it gets deeper. King Solomon built the first temple in Jerusalem. This was the most sacred structure in all of Jewish history, the place where God himself was said to dwell among his people. And at the heart of that temple sat the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark was a golden box, pure gold covering acacia wood, angels carved on top with their wings spread wide. Inside were the stone tablets containing the 10 Commandments, the staff of Aaron, a jar of manna from the wilderness. This was the most holy object in existence. But according to the Bible, Solomon knew something. He knew that temple would eventually be destroyed. He received prophecies about the future. He understood that enemies would come and tear everything down. So what did he do? He took his most precious treasures and hid them. Somewhere far away, somewhere safe, somewhere that enemies couldn't find. He sent ships to distant lands, ships that traveled to Ophir, ships that may have carried the most valuable cargo in human history. And the most precious treasure he had? The Ark of the Covenant, a golden box said to hold the power of God himself, an artifact so powerful that it killed anyone who touched it wrongly, a weapon that brought down the walls of Jericho and destroyed entire armies. For thousands of years, people have searched for the Ark. They've looked in Ethiopia, they've looked in Egypt, they've dug under the Temple Mount, they've explored caves across the Middle East, but nobody has found it. What if they've been looking in the wrong place? Or what if Solomon was smarter than anyone realized? What if he hid it somewhere nobody would ever think to look? Back in 2016, there was this strange rumor coming out of Saudi Arabia. A rumor so bizarre that most people dismissed it immediately. But looking back now, it might be one of the most important clues we have. People were saying that something called the Ark of Gabriel was discovered underneath Mecca, right below the holiest site in Islam. Construction workers allegedly found it during excavation work, and the moment they uncovered it, strange things started happening. According to the rumors, the artifact was emitting some kind of radiation, plasma emissions, like nuclear energy coming from an ancient object that shouldn't exist. Workers got sick, equipment malfunctioned, People died under mysterious circumstances. The Saudi government supposedly panicked. They didn't know what they were dealing with. They didn't know how to contain it. They didn't know if it was going to explode or melt down or open some kind of portal to another dimension. So they called Putin. Of all the leaders in the world, they reached out to Russia, and they asked for help. The rumors say Russia sent a naval fleet, a massive convoy of ships that arrived in Saudi Arabia under the cover of darkness. They loaded something onto those vessels, something heavy, something dangerous, something ancient. And where did Russia allegedly take it? Antarctica. But they didn't go straight there. They made stops along the way, pit stops in remote locations, places where nobody would ask questions, places where things could be hidden without anyone noticing. Oh, some say one of those stops was in South America, somewhere remote, somewhere controlled by friendly governments, somewhere like Venezuela. Now think about that for a second. Two different stories, two different time periods, two different artifacts, both connected to Russia, both connected to ancient religious power, both leading to the same general region. Coincidence? Maybe. But I don't believe in coincidences. Not when there's this much at stake. Not when nuclear submarines are involved. Suddenly, Trump's actions start making a lot more sense. Look at everything he's done in the past few months. Look at the moves he's made on the global stage. And tell me it doesn't fit perfectly with this theory. Why did he push so hard to take over Venezuelan leadership? He recognized a new president. He threatened military action. He imposed crushing sanctions. He did everything possible to destabilize that government. Why? Venezuela isn't a threat to America. Their military is weak. Their economy is collapsing. So why the obsession? Why did he go after their oil specifically? America is already energy independent. We don't need Venezuelan crude. We have more than enough of our own. So why make such a big deal about seizing their oil shipments? And why is he now trying to acquire Greenland? Out of nowhere, Trump starts talking about buying Greenland from Denmark. People laughed at him. They called him crazy, but maybe he knows something we don't. Some people believe it's all connected. Trump wanted Venezuela because he knew something was hidden there. Intelligence agencies must have picked up on something. Satellite images, intercepted communications, human sources on the ground. Something tipped them off. And the moment Trump made his move on Venezuela, Russia scrambled. They knew they had to act fast. They had to get whatever was hidden there out of the country before America could find it. So they loaded it onto that ship. They sent their most powerful submarine to protect it. And they tried to sneak it back to Russia before anyone could stop them. But the United States caught them. They tracked the ship across the ocean. They followed it for weeks. And when they finally caught up, they seized it immediately. No hesitation, no negotiation, just a direct military action that could have sparked an international crisis. Now both countries are locked in a standoff. A standoff over a vessel that supposedly contains nothing but oil. Putin wants that ship back. He's not asking nicely. His diplomats are making threats. His military is on high alert. He's acting like America just stole something irreplaceable. And Trump isn't budging. He won't give it back. He won't even discuss it. He's holding on to that ship like it contains the crown jewels. Two nuclear powers playing chicken. Two nations that could end human civilization with the push of a button. Both willing to risk everything over an oil tanker. Does that make any sense to you? Does that sound like normal behavior from rational world leaders? Or does it sound like something much bigger is happening behind the scenes? When you put all of this together, a picture starts to form. A picture that the mainstream media doesn't want you to see. A picture that connects ancient history to modern politics in ways that seem almost impossible. King Solomon hides the Ark near South America. Thousands of years ago, he sends his ships to Ophir. He takes his most valuable treasures and puts them somewhere safe. Somewhere that enemies of Israel would never think to look. Venezuela sits in that exact region, right where historians believe Ophir might have been, right where ancient gold mines have been discovered, right where Solomon's ships would have landed. Fast forward to 2016. Russia suddenly becomes very interested in ancient artifacts. They send ships to Saudi Arabia. They allegedly pick up something called the Ark of Gabriel. They transport it to Antarctica with a pit stop in South America. Then Trump comes along. He goes after Venezuela hard, harder than any American president before him. He's obsessed with that country. He wants control of it at any cost. Russia panics. They send a ship to pick something up. That ship gets protected by a nuclear submarine. The most advanced stealth technology Russia has. The most dangerous weapons in their arsenal. All to guard an oil tanker. The United States seizes it. And now both countries are acting like World War III might break out over this. If it was just oil, none of this would be happening. Russia wouldn't risk it. America wouldn't care this much. Putin definitely wouldn't be demanding the ship back like his entire future depends on getting it. Think about what oil means in the grand scheme of things. It's valuable, sure, but it's replaceable. Russia can pump more oil tomorrow. They can find new buyers next week. Losing one shipment means nothing to them. But if that ship was carrying the Ark of the Covenant, if it was carrying an artifact of unimaginable power, an object that governments and empires have searched for across millennia, that changes everything. That's worth sending a submarine. That's worth risking war. That's worth all of this chaos and conflict. I know how this sounds. Trust me, when I first heard about this, I thought it was completely insane. The Ark of the Covenant on a Russian oil tanker? Come on, that sounds like something out of a Hollywood movie. That sounds like Indiana Jones fan fiction. Then I started looking at the facts. Not the theories, not the speculation, just the cold hard facts that nobody can dispute. Fact, Russia sent a nuclear submarine to guard that ship. That's confirmed. Multiple sources have verified it. This isn't a rumor. This happened. Fact. The submarine was operating in stealth mode. Oh, it was hiding. It didn't want to be found. Why would an escort need to hide if everything was legitimate? Fact. The United States tracked that ship for weeks before seizing it. They were watching it like hawks, like they knew something important was on board. Fact. Both countries are treating this situation with extreme seriousness. This isn't normal diplomatic tension. This is something else entirely. Look, I'm not saying this is definitely what happened. I'm just asking questions that nobody else seems to want to ask. I'm pointing out inconsistencies that nobody else seems to notice. I'm connecting dots that the mainstream media refuses to connect. And the more you dig into this story, the more holes appear in the official explanation. The more questions come up. The more you realize that something isn't right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is all just a crazy coincidence. Maybe Russia really did risk nuclear confrontation over a few barrels of oil. Maybe that makes sense to someone, but it doesn't make sense to me. And I don't think it makes sense to you either. If this is true, then everything changes. Everything we thought we understood about how the world works goes out the window. We're not just dealing with politics and economics anymore. We're dealing with something ancient, something powerful, something that has shaped human history for thousands of years. It means governments are fighting over ancient religious artifacts, not just old relics from museums, but objects of genuine power, objects that do things we can't explain, objects that might give whoever controls them an advantage beyond anything technology can provide. It means there are secrets being kept from us that go back thousands of years, secrets passed down through governments and royal families and secret societies, secrets that only the most powerful people in the world know about, secrets they will kill to protect. It means the most powerful nations on Earth understand something we don't. They know that ancient texts aren't just stories. They know that religious artifacts aren't just symbols. They know that there's more to this world than what we can see and measure and explain with science. And it might explain why Trump is suddenly so interested in Greenland. Think about the strategic value. If Russia retaliates over this ship, America needs a defensive position. They need somewhere to stage forces, somewhere to launch counterattacks, somewhere to hide if things go badly. Oh, Greenland gives them that advantage. It's remote, it's massive, it's positioned perfectly between America and Russia. Taking control of it would be a game changer in any future conflict. This whole thing is getting bigger by the day. Every morning I wake up and there's something new, another development, another piece of the puzzle falling into place, another question that nobody seems willing to answer. Countries are moving military assets. Diplomats are having secret meetings. Intelligence agencies are working overtime. Something is happening, something huge, and we're only seeing the tiny tip of a massive iceberg. The world is watching, and something tells me we haven't seen anything yet. What was really on that ship? The government says oil, but their actions tell a completely different story. Nuclear submarines, or stealth missions, international standoffs. weeks of tracking, threats of war, all over a few tons of crude. I don't buy it, and I don't think you do either. The pieces are all there if you're willing to look. Ancient biblical texts pointing to South America, King Solomon's missing treasures, mysterious artifacts in Saudi Arabia, Russian naval expeditions to Antarctica, Trump's obsession with Venezuela, a submarine guarding an oil tanker like it was carrying the Holy Grail. Maybe it's all coincidence. Maybe none of these things are connected. Maybe I'm seeing patterns where there are none. Or maybe we're witnessing something historic, something that only happens once in a generation. Maybe the Ark of the Covenant has finally been found after thousands of years. And maybe two superpowers are now fighting to control the most powerful object in human history. So here's what I want to know. What do you think? Do you believe Russia was transporting the Ark of the Covenant? Is there something ancient hidden in Venezuela that both superpowers are desperate to control? Or is this whole thing just smoke and mirrors designed to distract us from something else? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me what you really believe, because this story is far from over. More information is coming out every single day, and what happens next might change everything we thought we knew about the world. The governments aren't talking. The media isn't asking the right questions. But we are, and we're going to keep digging until we find the truth. This isn't the end, this is just the beginning.